The Western Cape High Court has granted the City of Cape Town an interim order to remove refugees living in the CBD.
More than 700 foreign nationals have been living in and around the Central Methodist Church building since October last year. Acting Judge Daniel Tulare ruled that the city had the right to uphold bylaws and to ensure that everyone could move around without difficulty or intimidation. He's given the city 7 days to execute the order, which must be delivered in languages understandable to the group of refugees.
The foreign nationals have a month to state why the interim order shouldn't be made final. They've been living near Green Market Square since being forcibly removed from the United Nations Refugee Agency offices. They're demanding to be settled in other countries because they don't feel safe in South Africa, they say.
All right, South African Human Rights Commissioner Chris Nissen joins us on the line now. Mr. Nissen, for people just tuning in, not understanding the story, where exactly have the refugees been living? Have they been residing in the church as well? And what exactly does this order mean?
First of all, thank you and good evening to all your listeners. You remember that the refugees were not at the High Commissioner's office. They were outside because the High Commissioner's office was renting a place in Waldorf. And they were outside, and the landlord of that building got an order for trespassing, and they were removed, and then they fled into the Green Market Square, and the priest of the church, of the Methodist Church, allowed the women and children for temporary just to come in. And they've been staying there for up till now. The idea was that they wanted the United Nations High Commission of Refugees to force them to take them to Canada, which is completely impossible and illegal. And they've been told over and over again that you can't do that. It's only individual resettlement that can take place. Secondly, most of those refugees sitting there have got houses. They came from places, and all indications and statistics show that the places where they came from, there was no violence and no xenophobia. It was opportunistic by the leaders to call people together with the hope of taking them to Canada. The court ruled today that the city went to the court to use a bylaw to remove them from the area because they caused a lot of nuisance and disturbance. However, there are very destitute people in that group that have lost everything because they followed the dream of going to Canada. Most of those who have applied individually before has removed on a number of occasions, and so the problem that we have is that the refugees sitting there have been some of them destitute because they lost their jobs, lost their houses, but most of them still have places, and that's why the court ruled that they go back to their place, or ruled that they must be removed in terms of the bylaw of the city.
Okay, so they will be removed. When will that happen? Because I understand they can actually appeal this. So will there be a time frame in which they can appeal?
They can appeal it. But you've heard the leader, J.P. Balus, rubbishing the magistrate. And that's who they are. Everybody disagrees with them. They become bad. And therefore, they will probably go on a campaign, and they say, yes, South Africa doesn't want refugees. And we talk about 500 refugees versus 270,000 refugees and asylum seekers. And so we are saying that, these are people that are abusing. They want to create the bad in South Africa. And the leadership there is irresponsible in creating an unrealistic expectation.
Yeah.
And we've been saying to them over and over again, the United Nations High Commission on Refugees are prepared to facilitate individual processes. But many of them, including the leader, J.P. Balus and others, have had applied before, and most of them have been rejected 3 to 4 times.
Okay, so again, when do you expect them to be removed?
Well, it's up to the city. The city must use its powers in its bylaws now to enact, because the court has said you can do that. But the fact of the matter is, even if the city uses its bylaws, these men and women there have stuck to their resolve to say the United Nations must take us to a third country. The Minister of Home Affairs the other day made it very clear that they cannot. It's against international protocol. It's against anything. But also, even they said Canada. The minister said, the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs in Canada said, of immigration, they will not accept these people. And in any case, when people behave like that, remember, countries are watching this and put people on watching lists. Yeah. Nobody will be able to take them. The only solution is for them to go back into the communities where they come from. South Africans are the best asylum seeker and refugee policy and laws in the whole world. We do not have people in camps. They can go back into the communities. And if they feel that there's a community where they're not safe, there's a network of NGOs, including the South Human Rights Commission and the United Nations High Commission on Refugees, that will facilitate a safer reintegration into communities they come from. But the problem is the leadership that has created unrealistic expectations.
So my final question, are those unrealistic expectations still being touted, as it were? We spoke a while ago, and there had been violence against the Archbishop from some of these refugees told they're going to Canada. Is that still going on? It's
still being peddled. Sure. And including, they went to court to say to the court must compel the city to give them a place where they can stay 4 months so that the United Nations High Commission on Refugees can process them, which is a total lie. They will not be processed. They must go back to the communities where they come from. And in the Western Cape, where they came from, all those communities, there was no xenophobia and no violence. And they must stop trying to embarrass South Africa. These leadership are really out there to try and make a bad name for South Africa internationally. No refugee, no asylum seeker has died. They must stop that. You know, I had a case last week, where foreign nationals killed 2 people, burned them in Lavender Hill. Nothing is being said, and we kept it quiet because we do not want to create, because crime is crime, and opportunists will find opportunistic crime. But the fact of the matter is they will not be able to go to any third country because those third countries are watching them. And at the same time, opportunities for resettlement has gone down, like -1% of the total refugee asylum is being taken in consideration by countries.
All right. Thank you very much for that explanation. So a judge ruling in favor of the city that can now remove those refugees who have been basically camping in and around the church, saying they want to be moved, some of them, to Canada. That was South African Human Rights Commissioner Nissen.